Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshea embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. We're continuing our mini-series discussing Black Panther, Tales of Wakanda, and today we're talking Portia's short story pick, Bon Temps.
Yay! I'm so happy to be able to take over and officially make everything about me in the story. It's just, the thing I've dreamed about for so long, I just can't wait. Especially because the story happens to be set in New Orleans where Black folk and magic are taking place, and I'm just super happy and hype about that. Especially whenever I was rolling through the story and got here, because I think we mentioned in the first episode, it wasn't until probably like halfway through the book where we get to Return of the Queen where I felt like the story started getting like higher caliber, like I'd liked more and more of them. And I honestly had a moment where it's like, I don't know if it's gonna get any better than Queen of Return of the Queen. And then I got here and I was like, oh yeah, yep, this is it. And the other stories might work, but this is definitely a major contender. So super happy about that. I think if you're like want to know a little bit more to get like in your teeth around it, I would say that if you're interested in like the perspective of royal spares, if you like have read yourself a good Regency romance before or just like generally have been up into Harry's story, of being the second prince and all of that, and you like Shuri, that's going to really appeal to you. If you're interested in the ideas of going through a story where there's a trial of faith while you're also trying to have fun, the story's also really good for that. And if you're interested in all of this taking place in New Orleans with Shuri interacting with Black Marvel luminaries like Brother Voodoo and Monica Rambeau, then I promise you will like the story. I promise. Luminaries.
Yeah,
Not luminaries. Monica Rambeau. Yes. Sure. Give you her. Brother Voodoo?
Luminary. A dark
I've never heard of this man before this story.
So it's what's funny?
I had heard about him.
Brother Voodoo from a very random way. Like my first or second Halloween in New York. Dan and I got dressed up. We went to like the Halloween parade in the city, and there was a guy dressed as Brother Voodoo. I had no idea who he was. Dan was like, "Hey, it's Brother Voodoo," and I was like, "What is that? It sounds racist."
You're like, who?
It sounds racist. And it was a black guy with a fro, and I was like, it can't be racist because the black guy, but at the same time, it sounds racist.
I feel like that's a lot of Marvel, not even just Marvel. I would just say like any Black thing that was not created by Black people that has stood the test of time that probably has dubious origins.
And even like, Black Panther, which was made in like their interpretation of, or their like, just, we all live in an anti-Black white supremacist society, and unfortunately, even with the best of intentions, they don't have the range. But we talked about this, right? I'm not like a comic book reader. I'm not a cartoon watcher. I really, really do want to get into. I've started and stopped like the OG X-Men because I know everyone says like it's such a good thing. Everyone loved it growing up. I never watched it. I want to watch X-Men '97. I just
haven't gotten over calling
my brain is just
cartoons. It shows. No,
it's
a bias. Yeah,
is it biased?
100%.
I'm supposed to
because I think in your head you're equating animation with like
children's stuff.
Children. which is not the case.
No,
But even
Think
I
that's
call
what
it
it
like
is.
adult cartoons, like Cartoon
animation is a
Slim, Cartoon
medium.
Network.
It's a
Cartoon
medium.
Slim was
So
not
you
a
just
thing.
call
What'd you say?
You said Cartoon Swim. It was Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. Sorry. Sorry.
No, that was funny. though.
Okay. I didn't even know that. And like, again, it's not. I mean, it might be like unconsciously. I'm equating it to adolescence, but I personally just think that like because I have a hard time with my attention span anyway, I can't connect to like cartoons not having like those like micro facial features, which is what I love about actors, because they don't have them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't help me like pay attention to things I miss. Anyway, the point of this though was just to say I've never heard of this man.
I realized I heard about him from shout out to Stephanie Williams. Her Living Heroes comic. He's like in one of them as like he's not like a main character, but he's just in one of the stories, like he appears at some point. So I'm pretty sure that's where I heard about him for the first time. So then once I don't think I have encountered him since. So when I read him in this, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Like even the picture in my head
point of
is
story.
like from
Dark
that
Luminary
comic.
And we'll get there.
But also we are not. But I would also say that like we're not the
yeah,
we're not the litmus test.
Yeah, we're not the litmus test for
who
for
all
knowing.
to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm like, yeah, clearly our like knowledge.
I definitely didn't know what's his face
the highest
from that White
some of
Tiger
these,
story,
like,
whatever that
other
story was.
ones.
I was like, I don't know none about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me neither. I had to Google it. I
didn't know.
literally Googled it. The other ones I didn't. I was like, for the most part, I kind of at least had been familiar or had heard of them, but that was one where I was like, okay, I need to know.
I kind of just assumed that was
creative liberty from
a
the
like
author.
new character.
Right, because I mean, it's not like these characters are all like there are some original characters.
There are some OCs in here. Yeah. I and mostly it was just because like when I think about the Black Panther, I think about the White Wolf, and so like the White Tiger or whatever it's called, I was just like, okay. Cat. Also I was upset that it was like the White Tiger and not like a puma.
There's so much about that story. No, this is not about that story. Like I said, today's my day, and we're talking about Von Tom.
Yeah, we need to.
We're talking about Von Tom. We're not talking about the stupid story that I don't like. That's the one of the stories I think I like the least. Actually, no, we won't be doing that. So,
oh my gosh,
Von Tom. It starts off with Shuri's fury. She is big mad because here she is receiving marching orders from her mother, Queen Ramonda, and T'Challa. And their marching orders are very much inconveniencing her during the time that she has allotted herself every year to go on a trip to Ibiza with her homies. And they just seem kind of like chill about it all. Like they're just kind of smug. T'Challa's like laughing to himself the whole time he's like debriefing her about what she's about to do. And she's just like, I can't. I'm really over this whole situation.
It's such a like, it was so interesting, that dynamic, because we also get Shuri at different stages in a lot of different, like in a lot of these stories. So it's like, in some she's older and some, you know what I mean? And this one was definitely like, and also the like sibling dynamic of T'Challa, like slow dripping her the information just because he knew that it was getting on her nerves. He's just like, yeah, you're not going. Yeah, okay, we're gonna send you here. Oh yeah, it's gonna be like, it was just like, you could have just given her the information up front
and still didn't give her full information, because it wasn't until like everything goes by, then she's like,
No.
oh crap, this is why he sent me here. He could have said something. Did he? No. But also, to be fair, as an older sibling, sometimes if you tell them the reason, then they'll be like, well, I'm not doing that. And you'd be like, okay, so it would help you, but okay, all right, We're just not going to do it.
I kind of loved Shuri's rage or indignation, and then they pull
That
out
was the
receipts, and I'm
funniest
like,
thing.
girl.
She was like, and it was so funny because she was like, oh, I do, like, even when I'm like partying or whatever, like I'm doing recon, like I'm doing, like I'm right.
Said I bring
I
back
am
valuable
healthy.
information.
What are you talking
Called it a
about?
conference. I go to this
They're like-
conference. Why can't I go to my conference? And they were like, you was in the hot tub with Idris getting, and I was like, well, listen, if you have the opportunity to get in the hot tub with Idris, I'm just diplomacy. You know what I
Connections are
mean?
being
Like,
made,
international
okay?
relations. I'm
Okay?
an ambassador. I'm an ambassador. We're building
Mhm.
relationships here, you know? Whatever. But also,
But it's also like she
don't
was
get
like,
caught.
she was like, oh, I brought back
Right.
like great intel, and it was like the phone numbers of Meghan and Harry. That was the great intel. That was it.
That's not the intel.
Yeah.
That's not what we needed. That's not actually.
Nothing about
Yeah.
your and so that's my.
She said they hate them white
It's just
folks
funny
just
to
as
me
much
because
as
it's
we
like
do.
she
It's gonna be a
like,
trove
why
of
even try? Like, if
information.
you just want to go to Ibiza, like, girl, like I'm on vacation. Don't bother me. I will do my best to not create a national emergency.
Right.
I promise you that much. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try to act like it's something else. It's not. I'm gonna go have fun. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she should be able to do that, but also I get it. I do get it on the other end, especially because like it is Wakanda. They did just open up, is what it sounds like for this story.
Yeah.
They like it's very recent, but not recent enough that she
Yeah.
couldn't have done this trip a couple times, but like recent enough that they're still trying to keep their image.
It's also
in a
interesting
certain
because it's
way.
like how much of the
And
image
here
is
she
for
goes.
Wakandans versus how much of the image is for like people internationally. Because it sounds like it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I feel like internationally they don't have
She's
a
not
problem
showing
with it.
up on
She's
their radar
not
like that.
messy in the she's not
Right.
hanging out with Harry in the Nazi outfit. She's hanging out with
California
like
King.
settled down
Yeah.
dad Harry. You know what I mean? Like agrees, like it's more of the celebrity socialite that like especially the West is kind of more used to. So it's not that she's not showing up on the radar, but she's not doing anything that is like beyond like a photo shoot. You know, it's not like
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's like she's
tabloid
not showing up
fodder
on
or
the
whatever,
like
you know?
tabloid radar. Like she's not on that. She's not on that lane.
Right. She's like on the celebs, they're
Or
just
she's
like
like
us,
she's
right?
getting
Or
caught
princesses, they're
like
just like us.
Mhm.
They
she's
also
getting caught like
want to get in the hot
walking
tub with
off her
Idris.
private jet with her like tracksuit on. Like she's not like she's not doing all that. So I
Yeah.
mean, sure. Except like who actually knows about her
Yeah.
and Idris being in a hot tub besides her family and the people who were in the vicinity of the thing. That was also a thing, like, right? So I
Right.
think we'll get into that, like how secretive she likes to be about herself being in another place. So she's rightfully pissed that she's being like her party time, her vacation time is being like they're like, no, we're actually just we're gonna send you on a mission. You're perfect for it. We have something that we need you to securely get to somewhere else. And she's like, what and why? I can't. And part of that frustration you can see comes from her being at the behest of T'Challa specifically, like her brother, the person that she grew up with, who is now in a seat of power. And instead of like being more of a brother to her, he's like using the power in a way that she just does not like how it's coming off to her. And though she has been making the best of her situation, you can tell she's been like kind of like making her own peace with what she's doing with things. Her not being able to like live life the way that she wants to determine to live her life and how she wants to do it and just do what she would like to do keeps becoming a thing that just like bothers her, as it should, because like can't she has her own life but she can't live it because she's always going to be the backup to the seat of power, like being the royal in charge, even though she will never be the one in charge if things keep going the way they are. So that's especially as an adult, and it feels like she like honestly, this Shuri seems like a Shuri that could be an extension of the Shuri that we get on screen, like in the movies. She seems very similar to her, like in age and like where if T'Challa were still alive, how she was still going through being the spare under T'Challa.
I think she
Not too
like reads a
much.
little
Yeah.
bit older, but not by much. Like, yeah, but like I think the Shuri of the films is supposed to be still in like her teens, and this one seems to be
Early
like
20s, yeah.
early
Early
mid
20s,
20s.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
but I guess I can just see both sides, right? Like when you were like rightfully upset, I'm like, I don't know if it's right. That's the part I had like the more trouble. It's understandably upset, you know, but I feel like her, you know, her mom and her brother laid down some pretty they made points.
again,
So
for who? Because again, it's more, well, it's more of, it seems, for the Wakandans that they, and again, what do the Wakandans care about? We don't know. We don't hear that part. Than it is for her actually causing an actual tussle or issue elsewhere. It's not like she actually caused like an international disturbance or something. Like she just went to parties.
Mm-hmm.
well,
And
they like
honestly, it kind of sounds to me like this isn't a punishment.
no,
And Shuri is initially thinking that that's what it is, but it's because they need her, or T'Challa needs her to go to New Orleans, right? So it's not like, oh, you can't go because you can't go. It's you can't go because I need you to go to this other place. And so I think that they're bringing up old stuff, but I think that if there was nowhere that they needed her to be, then she could be there. You know what I mean? At least that's how I took it. Is not like a she's
Mm-hmm.
banned from going ever again. Is more just like, you can't go this time because we have this. And she's like, well, I would like, you know, I can't remember who brings up the
Her
mess. It's
mother.
probably
Her
mutual,
mother.
but
Yeah.
her mom does. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
that gives that, but that also gives like T'Challa's not bringing that up, and also like she could cause just as much, in quotes, like problems in New Orleans as she could in Ibiza. Like it's not, you know what I mean? So it's also
especially at
kind
Mardi
of,
Gras during Mardi Gras.
yeah. I'm like, you're sending her to a party, so
But
it's
she
like
doesn't know
I
that
felt
initially, and it's not a party she
the
chose to go to. Yeah.
right. She doesn't know that, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying like it's an interesting it's just an interesting conversation, given that she immediately, when they say you can't go, she immediately
Punishment.
takes it as a punishment or a restriction versus a no, we just need you to do this other thing.
Yeah, and I was gonna say just quickly, we get a little bit later on in the story about well, they kind of allude to the fact that like Wakandans don't really understand their how the outside world views them, especially like the diaspora. And so like leading there does need to be some opening up of Wakanda like culturally to um and Shuri is like well positioned to kind of help that, but yeah, I do think it's mostly like more about her, at least from her mom's perspective and from the queen's perspective, her image internally within Wakanda, but also just as like a mom and like the expectations of like what it means to represent your country and like what it meant for like Ramonda has to be different than what it means for Shuri because they're different people, they're in different positions, but like that doesn't stop a mom's, like kind of more strict or like an older person. It doesn't just have to be a mom, but like an older generation's like more strict interpretation of like what that is.
Yep.
So,
So
but continue.
she's big peeved on being sent on a mission, and all she knows about it is that, and this is only what all she knows is what T'Challa told her, and what T'Challa told her is that she's being sent to take one of the nation's greatest treasures to another place, and he thinks that she's the best person suited to do this. And also the fact that she is being assigned a minder, because I can see her seeing her this person as a minder because the way that it's spoken to her about, it's like, you can't have your regular bodyguards who tend to be male because you like to give them the slip when you go to the bathroom. And we're not going to have that no more. That's what Queen Ramon, like, we see your game. I've seen your game and I peeped you. We're going to stop that.
I know your game. I know what
See
you're
it.
about.
And so now we're going to give you a Dora Milaje. And so the Dora Milaje she is assigned is, and please correct me if I mispronounce this, Bolanle Zidana.
That's how it was said in the audiobook. So, also though, it's not just like a Dora, it's like a younger, closer to her age.
We'll get more into
Dora. So,
right, so they can both be like kind of
get more into her story.
But I do get it. She's like, dang.
She's like,
so
my usual shenanigans will not be working this trip because y'all fixed that. I get it. I see it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's an actual mission. Like, you can't be, it's not like, yes, you can party, but you also need to do this thing.
It's interesting too, though, because we don't really get an idea of, and like I'm thinking about the differences between like this Shuri and like the MCU Shuri. We don't really get a sense that like she gets sent on missions, and we see Shuri a little bit in some of the stories before. Do we see her? We do see her a little bit before. Yes, twice before. I'm just trying to think about like the order of the stories. And she's, you know, in the lab, and like, so you get the sense that like all Wakandans of a certain, like even the story that Bayana chose last week, like all Wakandans get a certain amount of like kind of training, or like it's just, you know, like culturally in school or whatever, they'll have some level of self-defense, or like, I don't know, maybe they do like something that then they can kind of decide, like there's some basic level, and then you like figure as a princess, right? She's definitely been taught to like self-defense, or like to take care of herself, and then she's, you know, a technological scientific genius, so she's probably got some gadgets and gizmos, but stealth like we're just hearing about like all of this stuff. So it's also like kind of funny, because I would have thought, I mean, I get that she's upset, she wants to be in Ibiza. I feel like the conference too might have been #MurkyFest, which like I'm trying to go to, even though I'm too old to go to. But like if I could be hanging out with Stormzy and Idris, you know, I'm just not listening really. I don't think she's really like
feeling the loss. She's like, I was geared up and ready. My suitcase is already packed to go to Ibiza with my homies.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm like, I get the sense that she, in another context, or like if they would have given her some time outside of like, you're not going to Ibiza, this is what you're doing instead, she kind of might get geared up for this and like excited about it, but she's just like,
I don't know. This is what Homegirl says later. She's kind of just like jaded. So I don't know. So well, yeah. So
but like a mission.
She sciencing it up in her own lab all the time. She creates her own missions on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
That is true.
So, as you mentioned earlier, it is no Ibiza, but it is still a party because her destination for this mysterious mission is Mardi Gras. So they take like, it's very fun to see like I guess the rich person's version of a journey to destination, because they hit up a private airport in Mississippi, and then they like make their way from there. And even just being on US soil, Shuri is still moping about the whole predicament that she's been put into by T'Challa. And she's thinking about like, oh yeah, like I want to be with hanging out with that cutie by the pool in Ibiza right now. Like this is messed up. And she's like taking it out a little bit on Bologna, because she's just kind of like, I'm just not gonna even talk to her because I don't want to be here. I'm just pissed. I just don't want to even want any of this. And then she gets Bologna gives her favorite coffee, and she just is like, I will accept this exchange as a form of gathering friendship, I suppose. Like I will accept this. And then she starts kind of like opening up a little bit from there. But she's in her mind, what she's thinking about is like she has to go to exchange this item that's wrapped up in this case. And as far as she knows, is that she like it's the place where she's going to make this exchange happen is at a party, but it's being held by an older Avenger. Like, ew, like what kind of older person throws a kind of party that Shuri wants to go to? And an Avenger at that.
Is trying to
She's
be
like,
at.
oh, this is just why would they mess up the art form of partying with this? Like this is
Right. Like in her head, it's like Steve Rogers throwing a thing, and she's just like, look, I'm not trying to be out here in these 1930s, 1940s
was it sock
shindig.
hop? Like, oh gross. Like,
I'm
oh,
trying to turn
girl.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like, no,
But
look.
also just the idea of being like the younger sister of an Avenger, so the
Older
Avengers
people.
just seem like these like lame ass.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, y'all really like them, huh? They are boring. Any club that counts my brother as one
I
of
just
them.
like imagining, like
Mm-mm.
imagine that scene
No.
where they're all trying to pick up
Yeah.
Thor's hammer, and then like a younger sibling comes by, and like, this is what y'all do for fun. This is y'all have all these powers in this room.
Right.
This is your fun. I'm sorry, I gotta go. I gotta go tell somebody about this. This is sad. This is very, very sad. Like, it's cute. I can just
Mhm.
imagine Shuri being that person, just being like, oh no. Mm-mm.
Y'all are dorks.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm one of the smartest people here, but y'all are
Also,
dorks.
Shuri being the one who's like, obviously, if you just take the coefficient of whatever by X and then
I picked it up.
But I know how to have fun, and you
I just picked it up.
That's that's where Shuri's just like,
Yeah.
fun. Yes, you don't. You would not know fun if it danced in front of you naked. You just no, you don't know. So she, while she's having her moment where she's still irked and she's kind of like still in that space in her mind, she's starting to talk to Bolinley because of the like the exchange that's happened. And she kind of put like in a not very adversarially, but also not super like friendly way, like ask her about like why she's kind of like in Mean Girls when Karen is like, if you're
Oh, if you're from
why are you white?
If you're from
Why
Africa,
are you
why are
white?
you white?
If
If you're from Wakanda,
Why are you white
why are you
skinned?
white?
We don't got no people
Why
who
do you
broke
look like
you.
that?
Oh my gosh.
And she Bolinley like shares with her that like her father, as far as she knows, was a white hunter who entered Wakanda with the king's permission, but some things about that story just don't make sense. So she's like, that's what the cover story is. I'm aware of how that doesn't make any sense. And then Shuri kind of really says like, I mean, I just don't get it because we have never been colonized, so that doesn't make any sense. And she's like,
she's like, white people do not come to Wakanda. Like,
Yeah.
something's not adding up here.
Also, it's not her father. It's like it's a ancestor.
I thought it was your father.
A great grandfather. No, because she's like, it's a recessive gene, and every once in a while we pop up now. But it's not her father. It's like a
maybe I just heard grandfather. Whatever. This white man.
Yeah, but it's a white man. I also do love as well though that she's like, you know where the Golden City is. You know where the borders of Wakanda are.
She's like, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
to Shuri being rude to her about like, why are you so white? She's like, girl, why do you actively think that no one's ever like, sure, Wakanda has never been quote unquote colonized. You only colonizers still come up in here though. You thought?
Right. There are plenty of times, or even just like one person pops in and like doesn't know that that's where they are. It's not like y'all are in space. Like,
you're not an island floating in the air somewhere. Like, you're part of a land. Yeah.
Right.
So, she kind of gets a little bit of like humbleness and like, okay, like, all right, I am playing. I need to chill. And she, from there, they end up talking more. And then, so what we get proceeding from here is like a lot of this the interactions between them kind of like make up some of the plot because we're getting to know each other more, and they're also reacting to the situations that they're in together, and that's kind of fun to hear. So I like that this aspect of the story where it's like new friend, maybe, yes, kind of thing happening.
It's also interesting for Shuri to kind of. I really like that moment when Bellamy explains like her color, her recessive genes, because it gives me a lot of like I don't know if I've ever told the story, but when I was in France and like the Black people were like, "Where are you from?" and we had this very awkward exchange of me just ending up being like, "Slavery, yo, like shit happens. I don't know what they don't teach you, but I am from California." Period. Like, by way of Oklahoma. But it also gives, I think, Shuri, beyond like them just like having a moment together, like just because she's sent as like your bodyguard doesn't mean that she's like your babysitter. And she's not. And so there's like also this moment of like, it's awkward, right? Because I think Palumi said something around like, oh yeah, equals. You're the freaking princess. You know, like we're never gonna be equals, right? But it's also, I think, in Shuri's mind, like you're gonna treat me like a princess, like with kit gloves and like tell me what I can and cannot do for like my own safety, and it feels kind of oppressive. And it's nice to have that moment in which she's like, girl. Like rich people problems, basically.
And we also like see in this moment, but then also like as the story goes on, that like again they're around the same age. Like Bolanda is not like, it's not like Okoye's on the trip. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's still has like she wants to have fun too. You know what I mean? So like that also I think helps with them being able to like I guess find common ground and then like build a friendship.
And they
there.
even get into like a deeper part of the conversation where they kind of get into the idea of why Shuri is just kind of like about things. And one of the things she's kind of about is like the whole chant, like she has not been, no one in the royal family besides T'Challa has spoken to Bast in a very, very long time. So as far as she knows, like she's taking orders from her brother. Like, and yeah, he said that he spoke to Bast about it, but she's like, who is that? I never seen him. I never heard him. Like, I see the statues, but besides that, what's that got to do with me? And so we kind of learn a little bit about like Shuri's issue with like having faith in a deity and like something that you don't see, and never directly talks to you, and why that has something to do with like how reluctant she is to like be part of the things that she says she's told to do for her better good, or to like please Bast and all that kind of stuff. And she said something about like, I'm a scientist and I'm supposed to have faith simply because I'm told to by my brother and I'm a princess. So she's just kind of like I'm used to scientific fact and order and understanding, and here I am getting marching orders all the time by a guy that she describes as basically a monk. And she, however, is the one who ends up in paparazzi photos. So she sees the like disparity and how they're perceived, and she's just like, I can't even be me without being like judged in a way that's gonna say that I'm the trouble, that I'm the problem. And she's and he has
And
a
then
god
he
behind
has like a
him.
god behind him as well to
And
like to like
Right.
you know, it's not me bringing like giving you
Yeah.
these orders, it's Bast.
Great.
She's like,
And then she even
cool.
mentions like she's
What
like,
am I
if
supposed to get of
I
that?
like were
You
to,
know?
I sometimes think about challenging him on challenge day, but he would have to accept first, he would take my challenge seriously and accept it. And then also the fact of like who would follow me if I did become queen, and did like take over from him. And she asked Bolanly that, and if she would like follow her. She's like, well, I would, very diplomatically, like as a Dora would say. She was like,
Yeah.
the Dora Milaje will accept anyone as a rightful ruler of Wakanda who is blessed by Boss to win a sanctioned battle for the throne. And then Shuri's like, no, like would you do it as a citizen of Wakanda? Would you could I be your queen? Yeah.
Like support.
And then Volney, again, very Dora Milaje like, is like, I'll see you later. When we've done our duty. And I'm like, that's a very much like, I'll get a measure of you after we've actually completed something together. So like, what am I, are you actually asking me?
Right. It's like I don't
Yeah.
really. And it's like also it's like I don't know you. This is like our first real conversation. I've seen you. I like, you know what I mean? I know
Mhm.
about you. I know of you, but not like anything that would then tell me like, yeah, right now you're just gonna ask me if I would support you as queen. I didn't even know you was trying to get down like that. Like I'm not. That's
Right.
not.
And it also goes back to what we were saying about like her persona in Wakanda, right? It's like we know about you partying or you being in the lab, but we haven't seen you lead anyone and like do anything. Not that like, what she does in like science and technology isn't impressive, but it's just like that doesn't mean that you could lead a people or you know what I mean? And also it's like you're very in your lab, you're very insular, isolated.
Where's the
like
leadership outside of your lab?
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing it on your own. So
And so so we learn that Volney knows exactly what's in the box, knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, is on top of all of that. And Shuri, because she was so annoyed with the whole situation, is like, I don't even know what's going on here, bro. Like, what is this? And Volney is like, child, you didn't even look. She was like, no, why would I do that? And they open the box and she opens the box and she finds a shimmering necklace. And again, T'Challa told her this is a very precious item from the nation of Wakanda. What does she do with it? She puts it on because she's the princess. Is she not also the most precious thing in Wakanda? Of course, she puts it on. It's made of vibranium, but according to the brief that Volney was given, this batch absorbed some energy that it normally shouldn't, and I hate the stupid door stuff for freaking T'Challa. But T'Challa wants an outside opinion.
Like they
Beloved.
call him beloved.
yeah,
yeah, it's very weird.
And
I just kept hearing Iyanla. I was like, I can't take this seriously, beloved.
I mean, I get so it doesn't bother me.
You ever lay your head on big bosoms, beloved?
It doesn't bother me as much if I think of it like that, like as it just like someone who's calls someone like hun or like sugar or whatever. But like knowing what actually is like tied into that from like the comic or whatever, like I'm just like ugh.
Yeah. I'm glad that
like it doesn't
was
even
not brought into the movies.
Yeah.
Like it can work, but again, like you said, because of where it comes from,
and it's really hard for me to accept it trying to be reworked.
I think it would be better if everyone called him that instead of like your highness or something like that.
Yeah.
If everyone, I mean, it'd still be weird, but monarchy is that
weird
anyway. So like, it's just, so it's not like I think it would. Yeah, it would be better if it was universal.
So here's another change from in this story / this universe versus like other like parts where this person shows up. So when Shuri asks what kind of energy it is, she gets the answer that it's magic, and that's why they've been sent to Dr. Voodoo's Mardi Gras ball, which I feel like is a better way of talking about him. Because brother, again, I don't know the origin of the Brother Voodoo stories and if maybe that was led by a Black creator within Marvel. But I know how brother or sister in the title situation of a character tends to work out as it kind of comes off Hotepi. And then it's brother with voodoo itself is a problem. But I did call I know that's the character's moniker, so I just like I don't know I'm gonna call them what they get called. But so from now on, Dr. Voodoo, because that's what was given here.
It says he was created by Stanley, Lee Wynn, and John Romita Sr. And
these are all white
trying
people.
to see they are all white people, but I was trying to see if
but I also
Lee
like
was Lynn Wine was New York, Bronx Jewish, born in 1948. So
Right.
but not only just white, but like this is Brother Voodoo is very much of the Power Man level of like black exploitation when you look at like his like comic book. When you look, I'm like looking on Wikipedia right now, like his original appearance in like the comics. It's very Luke Cage, Power Man, or Luke, yeah. With the afro,
Like
and you know what I mean.
Like when they like to call it stuff jungle stuff
it's
because
very
it
much
happened in black places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dr. Voodoo. And he's having a Mardi Gras ball tomorrow night, and Shuri sighs and says, "Yippee!" And this is a part that I really enjoy because this shows you how much of a party girly Shuri is. Where Bolinley was like, "Oh, Your Highness, it sounds fun to me. There's a costumed Mardi Gras ball with a magic necklace and the foremost practitioners of mystical craft outside of Africa. It sounds rather awesome." And like, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good time to me. Homegirl Shuri is like, takes a sip from her drink, and she's like, "That's a normal Tuesday for me, girl. I don't even know what to say." I do that on Tuesday nights on the regular. Are you serious? Come on.
Like
I was supposed to be in Ibiza with a cutie. This is what I have instead. A doctor, older Avenger throwing a ball where I have to be on my P's and Q's and deliver something. No, thank you. And also, we know how Shuri feels about, like, again, her faith and then like mystical stuff. So like, she's like, and like, what does a magic necklace mean to me? Nothing. It's whatever. So it's just, again, Shuri's ennui is just very fun. And that makes it very unsurprising that the fact that she just like puts it on this mystical magic necklace that no one has said like, oh yeah, just put it on. It's totally fine. It's clear. Nothing's weird is gonna happen to you. She just puts it on. And once they get into New Orleans on their first night, like, and they're in New Orleans, their first night there, the next night's gonna be the night where they do the mission. They're like, for the time being, we may as well do it up. We're here for Mardi Gras, so they go out onto Bourbon Street. And it's very crowded. And although initially they were like enjoying their time and seeing the sights, like I've never been to Mardi Gras because I don't like crowds. I live in New York City and I hate when I get in a crowd here. So obviously I'm not going to go seek out a crowd somewhere else. And
yeah,
but Darren has been to, like, he had a flight scheduled to New Orleans during Mardi Gras. So he was there during Mardi Gras and he was showing me like what it looked like. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. I probably will never go to Mardi Gras. Like, I might catch the end of Mardi Gras just like when everything's about to be done, but I'll probably never go down for Mardi Gras because it is as crowded as it is in the story. So I really enjoyed that they really captured like how bad it is, like in like crowd, because like it sounds like, and I don't, not making light, it sounds similar to me of like in Korea last year, I believe it was around like Halloween, there was like a crowd surge that happened. Like there was a very small like street, like alley way that people were using to go in between two major streets. And there was a crowd surge that happened and people got like suffocated and like stampeded on during the crowd surge because it was that thick and that deep in a very small space. And that's honest. And again, that's my bias. It's a person who hates crowds. That's what it sounds like to me when you tell me that a street is crowded and Shuri and Bolinley kind of get separated and Shuri feels someone touch her and Bolinley kind of like grabs them, but at the same time someone else grabs that person and Bolinley ends up like breaking a guy's finger. But then like another guy comes up and is like, hey, like, no, we're cool. And then they go into a bar and they start talking. And then that's how Bolinley and Shuri end up meeting the brothers, Rick and Jay. And both of them were trying to be like hero status, trying to save them from the encounter on the street. But Rick ends up with a broken finger because he just encountered Adora. So that is pretty fun, and they kind of have to get over their hurt feelings real quick at the bar.
And also, like, I will say,
yeah,
I was suspicious of them pretty much until the
yeah.
end. I was like,
the end. I kept waiting for
pretty
them
much
to
the
pop
end.
back up.
I was like, I don't know. Y'all, this seems a little convenient.
Oh, you're trying to save the day, you say?
Interesting. Curious.
And through the suspicion, I'm not gonna. And Shuri again, she's very similar in characterization. I think to the MCU Shuri, because Shuri, for all her like wanting to have fun, she's not like she does know how to read people, and so she does have a moment where she is like. She is very like into like just having the discussion because she's just out and about and like chilling, but she's also like they come up with a cover story for themselves. She picks a different name. Bolin picks a different name. Bolin says and this is the sad tie into the stupid beloved thing, but she says she's engaged to Shuri's brother, and so she's like, so Rick won't like flirt with her.
Oh yeah.
And then Jay is the guy who's like flirting with Shuri. We find out he's like going to med school or something. And so like he's like pretty chill, and like they kind of like they show themselves to be decent enough guys. Like you're still suspicious of them, but they're not asking for anything sus. They're just like, let's go, like we're hungry. We don't mind showing y'all a good time. Let's go get something to eat somewhere nice. And they're like, okay, cool, let's do that. So they just go and eat at another restaurant. And they're getting to know each other, kind of working through the cover stories that they've made up for all these things. And while they're like sitting and chatting and eating, they're interrupted by a white guy who, quote, is cloaking himself in charm and civilization as he hops into their conversation unasked. And he introduces himself as Elijah Deportes.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, that this section of the story is where I was like, yeah, Shuri is not stealth, because there are a few times in which she almost
slips. Yeah, I was like, Bolanle is way more.
Yeah, and it's not even like.
And not even like in a like I could in a different situation, I think that she would like, she's going to these other places as herself, so it's not like she usually has to be undercover or feels like it. Like I could see why it wouldn't occur to her to not use a different name.
And I think that like, I don't think of it as she's like messing up or whatever. It just doesn't occur to her, and and so she has to be stopped a couple of times from just kind of like saying who she is. But it's also an interesting thing too, because at least with Belaya, it's like, it's just me. I'm the only Dora here, and we are in like a very public, very packed spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no need to put the title princess on you right now, just because it's just, like unnecessarily putting a target on you, just in case someone wants to, you're already in a place where people are trying to grab it. You can grab at you just because you're a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this guy shows up, and she's already kind of like slipped a few times, and then he's like, I couldn't help it over here. I was like, oh, here we go. Like,
just inserting himself for no reason.
And like Shuri, like I said, Shuri clocks him with that cloaked in charm and civilization. But like her clocking that, she's like, this is a dangerous man. He's not up to any good.
Yeah.
And he says again, a stranger, and he puts on a southern like lilt a little bit, and tries to like that charm part. He takes Shuri's hands and kisses it. So you know what I'm saying? Like he's at your service and all of this stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, nah. And the first thing he says, like outside of like jumping into conversation, is, I couldn't help but overhear that you two lovely ladies will be in our fair city for only a short time. I'd like to present you with the opportunity to see our fine city at its best during the greatest party it has to offer.
It's just like, why? And
who are
who are you? Like, I literally don't know you. Why are you inviting me to a party? Like, there's literally no reason for
And
me
he
to say
like
yes.
waits until the
No,
boys
he's
Leave.
like
disappear
Yeah.
it's just
to approach. So the whole thing is
and he's
Sus.
like, he asked, may I? Like, may he like he's like, there's something about oh, Bolin's like, we'll do fine on our own. And she pulls Shuri's hand from his hand back to the table. And um Elijah's like, I believe you would, but there's something just about you ladies. I can't put my finger on it, but it intrigues me. And he asks, may I, gesturing like, can you sit at the table? And Shuri's like, no thanks. No. But she's also like fingering the
Like,
necklace
no.
as she's talking to him, which I think is also interesting. Um and he smiles with his mouth, but his eyes seem to change and become nearer with like his red veins bulging on his pupils. And he says, I insist. But then as he starts to pull out his chair, it's blocked by Rick's leg. And he said, and Rick, the older brother, is like, I think the ladies told you that they were here with someone. And he makes his voice deeper and meaner and then says, move on before things get out of hand. And this is the same brother whose finger got broken by both. So I just love this. I just think it's fun. But also the bodyguards that came in with Elijah pop up and everyone is like, nah, you gotta go. And Elijah tries to like back off and say like, I was only offering my hospitality to a pair of visitors who seem to be on their own. And then he just like allows Rick and Jay to pass from between the bodyguards and looks back at Shuri. And then he just like invites them to the same party they were already invited to as his guest. It's not even your party.
Silly. It's just like, yeah, first of all, it's not your party. It's just, yeah, it's very suspicious.
Muy suspicious.
It's just like, nobody, no, sir, no.
I love though that Jay was like, sure, pawn me off on the engaged sister-in-law who broke my finger and is unnecessarily violent. But then it's like, oh, no. What we're not going to do, creepy McCreeperson,
right,
is like make these ladies uncomfortable. But he has bodyguards. He looks dangerous. Shuri clocks him for dangerous. And so I'm like, I was like, I don't know about these two, but I was starting to think that maybe they were war dogs and they were like sent by T'Challa because I was like, I've already saved you from like a crowd and got my finger broken as a thank you. Even though my brother then gave me a whole lecture about doing something nice or whatever. Like at this point, I'd be like, let me sit back and call the cops. But again,
I'm not inserting myself again.
Right? Like maybe it's just me, but I'm like, if I'm just a dude, like I'm just like a dude out on Mardi Gras.
Why are you always like that's 2 times in the one night that you two have been I've had to step in for you two. What's going on? What's up?
Right. It's like I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna let nothing bad happen to you, but like I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'm gonna be neighborhood watch with it, but this man has an air of danger.
But to be fair, like Rick's persona gives like big brother, like big guy, big brother energy where he's like, nah, like no one's gonna kick me out of no party. I'm here. I'm telling you what's gonna happen. And if they say they don't want you here, then you're not welcome here, bro. Because I obviously don't want you here. So you need to keep stepping.
And I get that until the bodyguard stood up. It's like, let me flip this phone up and have 911 on speed dial, just like holding my hand, hovering over the button. But he was like, we don't want no more problem. I was like, dang.
It worked.
It worked.
Because it did work. Because Elijah's quote unquote Southern gentility, all that. So
yeah,
we find out they're all going to the same party, but the boys can't go because they're not of that crew. They're not from that set, but they're gonna meet up with Shuri and Bolinley afterwards. So it all works out. Here on Wizard Team, it's no surprise that we love books. We also love supporting the independent bookstores.
With our bookshop affiliate link, you can not only get all the books on your TBR, but you can support indie bookstores and B&C at the same time.
And if you're not sure what you want, that ain't no problem. Check out our The Plot Thickens list full of recommendations from none other than Porshea herself.
Head to www.bookshop.org/shop/blacknerdscreate to treat your shelves.
Treat your shelves.
Oh, that's nice. That's clever.
Oh my goodness.
That's clever.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Calling all lovers of totes and goodies. Black Nerds Create has launched our Fill Your Tote giveaway campaign as we gear up for our 9th birthday. Enter into our giveaway when you buy a Black Nerds Create Magic tote bag at our merch store on DFTBA. You'll get a chance to win books, arts, and other cool stuff. Entering is simple. All you have to do is buy your very own tote. You can find the link in our show notes and forward your receipt to weblackandnerds@gmail.com. The last day to enter is May 15th, and the giveaway is open to U.S. residents only. Once you get your tote, don't forget to tag us at Black Nerds Create on socials and show us how you fill your tote.
So next night, Shuri and Bolonley roll up to the historic mansion where the party's being hosted by Dr. Jericho Drum. And they're at odds about it being the correct address because when Shuri is standing outside of the address, it looks like, a cute little like restored mansion kind of vibe. But look, Bolonley sees like a building in like extreme disrepair. Like something is up. It don't look right. And she's the Dora, so she's gonna be looking for sus things, and just the building itself is very sus to her. It's only when they get up to the front door, they get to the intercom and they're speaking through it and then they're also then admitted through the front courtyard, and Bonley now can see the enchantment of the actual space that they're in. Then they're like, magic. It's just funny because it's like
He's so
you're there for
interesting. I'm
he's
curious,
a mystical person, but you're just like, what? Yeah.
But I also wonder, maybe is it because Shuri's name the only one that was on the invitation, or is it because you know what I mean?
She was wearing the necklace.
Oh, maybe because she's wearing the necklace. Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't get why Bolonley doesn't realize,
because she doesn't see the creatures, and that I think is a belief kind of thing.
Yeah. So it was just I wasn't sure. I was like, what's the thing here that's making...
Yeah, because Shuri doesn't believe in magic, so it wouldn't make her more likely to see behind it. But the necklace, I think, cancels that out. So she just sees it. Yeah.
Helps her. Yeah.
Because I figured even if you are invited, you would still see that until you got inside. Because...
And you just have to trust that dude
nasty
is not...
man, whatever his name is.
Elijah.
Was inviting everybody and brought a whole bunch of people.
Right.
So, Elijah.
So as they're they walk through, and Shuri is attracted to this black cat, which kind of is reminding her of Bost, a figurine that is behind a display. She's looking at it. She kind of I feel like Bolonley is just kind of looking around in standard sus mode, keeping the stealth, keeping things safe. And this guy pops up and he's like, oh, I see that you're enchanted by this thing. And he's pretty chill. And he introduces himself as Dr. Drum. And he invites Shuri and Bolonley over to his office so they can get to the business at hand before the party goes on. I respect this. Talking about the aspects of this story, I liked this whole story. But I like that, I hate whenever stories have a mission and it's wrapped up in extra actions that take place during the mission or whatever. Get the mission over and then get into
and
the
then
extra
enjoy
drama
yourself
behind everything. So I really appreciated that this one just kind of like, let's get down to business. Like you walked in the door, you have the item that we said we were going to exchange, like all that kind of stuff. He examines the necklace in his office, and he explains that it's part of a magical mystery. That's another thing I love about this. A magical mystery, you say? Two of my favorite things? Are you serious? Thank you. And when Shuri asked him, like, why would T'Challa task you with this? We have a lot of mystics in Wakanda itself. We could have just gotten that taken care of there. He says that like T'Challa is just being very generous, and you know, knowing his interest is allowing him to have access to this very like, you know, especially knowing how protective Wakandans are over vibranium and this necklace being made of that. Like he's being very generous in letting Dr. Drum, and then also he has to consult, he said, Stephen Strange, and what is the other guy's name? He said he would probably consult Stephen Strange and probably like Easter egg for people who know this stuff, but do I know any of this stuff?
Michael, right. two young men.
So whoever that is,
two young men,
possibly somebody of interest. It sounds like his last name makes me feel like he might be Black, because it sounds like a like. Oh really? It makes me like that. Ask for a name.
It gave me like an indigenous. Yep, he's shaman. Which Sarthe Thorthuri.
So sounds like a good like. Look, I now want to hang out in Dr. Drone's mansion. I just want to be one of the people who hangs out in his mansion, testing the magical mysteries, because it sounds like a fun time to me.
Oh, his name is his superhero name is Shaman.
Yeah.
Wow.
His superhero name is Shaman. Sorry. Yeah, he is
Y'all be wildin'.
Yeah, a Sarthi mystic.
A what?
From
Swarthy? Is that what they said?
No, Sarthi.
Oh, sorry. I said, huh? I was like, who wrote this? Oh my gosh.
What?
This whole time we've been talking about the problematic.
But
that's why I was like,
that's still on the internet? They still allowed that wording in the description of this character?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he looks to be like indigenous American.
Yeah. First showed up in 1979.
Yeah. And then and the Marvel was wilding in the 70s. They said representation.
We're not going to hire the writers that actually did apply from these backgrounds. No. That would be too much. We're just going to put characters in the way that we white people see them. Yeah.
Chris Claremont.
Yeah. That's how we see you. This is how you are.
Born in 1950.
Great. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, yes.
John Byrne, white, born in 1950. A white Englishman. From the UK.
The Cat Williams of it all, like the caucus from the caucus.
From the Isles of
Caucasus Mountains. Caucasus Mountains. Oh man. Oh man. Like reading Black Panther stories is gonna be problematic because we all know where they start from. So it's just, I enjoy that these are all Black authors, and this story took where other stories I think took from the problematic stuff and did their best. I think this one unfolded it in a way that I like. There's no like I know the problematic stuff only because I know the origin is problematic, but nothing in the story is problematic.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And it's not really bringing your attention to it. It's more just like, especially in this case, it's a name drop. It's a like, this is someone else who has that expertise in the arts, but not getting too deep in it.
And not trying to like
they're just
retcon anything.
No.
This is who we can consult
if we were
in the United States and we want, and we're very thoughtful about who we are consulting. Like we're consulting from multiple different mystic arts, not just like the colonizer arts, you know. So like we're cute. but they're talking through this like the magical mystery, who he's going to consult. And what the actual magical mystery is the fact that the necklace is absorbing magic energy rather than normal, quote unquote, normal energy. And that's why it needs to be investigated. And as they're like walking back into the party, he's given Shuri back the necklace. Which I thought was interesting that he gave Shuri back the necklace whenever he's supposed to be investigating it. Was he like, oh, you should just wear this for the duration of the party and then give it back to me at the end of the night? I don't know. But it was still strange to me that he gave her back the necklace.
It kind of seemed to me like he looked at it. It seemed to me like he didn't actually need it. It seemed like he was just looking at it.
But like, is that not the magical mystery he's going to consult
like
and
unravel?
That's what I'm concerned. I'm like confused.
It kind of felt to me
like he had done he was doing his,
like he just like
whatever.
He used his magical sight to like do the analysis he needed to pull that information over. That's
what I assumed. I bet it was an assumption.
It felt to me
was not
like when I first read it, like he's like, keep this on because
he did set up what's coming.
There are a bunch of like yeah, but like also like there's I'm saying before I read that and I knew that that's what he set up, like that keep it on at this party because it kind of will like help
all the magical
with like the guests that are here. Yeah, like I have enough magic to like, and it's my house and whatever, but like you should keep this on you and I'll grab it at the end of the night is what I kind of thought it was. Like enjoy the party with your
and then you'll drop it later.
I could use that. I could see that. What happened?
That's how I read it until,
especially because it's not like they're adversaries. You know what I mean? They're not making like it's not like they're like it's a tense exchange situation. It's like no, we're working together. Like yeah.
And it seemed to me like this is what's the opposite of white man science? But it seemed to me like this is a white man science type of trip. Like we just gonna figure this out because we can, because it's a mystery. I have problems with that.
Yeah.
I'm unlike Porshea. I love a mystery, but if a mystery does not need to be solved.
Well, I thought in this case that part of it is trying to make sure that it's not like a problem.
We get into it later on, but like when he was explaining like, oh, I'm gonna, T'Challa owes me a favor and knows that this is whatever, because she's like, we got magical folk back home. We got priestesses back home.
Right.
I was like, oh no, this man just wanted to play around in some magic he don't understand.
It's some spaghetti in there. That's what Shuri said.
You're about to have some mummy type behavior.
Just because I can, I will. Like that's not. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the kind of mystery that I'll mess around with. But that again. I was calling the cops on
but
old
and we all know, how cops tend to make things not great and they step in. But I do enjoy the fact that, like, again, his Dr. Drum's whole energy is like, this is the kind of energy I want to see from a magic user who's also who has a doctorate. I wonder what his doctorate is in. Can you have it?
It just makes sense why you like Doctor Strange too.
Well, see, because my thing is, if your name is Voodoo Doctor,
but does he have an actual doctorate?
That was why I was kind of like, Brother Voodoo versus Doctor Voodoo to me.
I think he had a doctorate in his study. There was like a actual
actually as a
he's an actual and he teaches at college. He's a professorial doctor.
Right.
But
but is his doctorate?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what is his doctorate in? Because that's what he's teaching.
I mean, somebody can say. It's definitely
psychology.
I said who can say we can't actually look that up. But
I remember reading it. I skimmed it before the episode, so I'm like, I remember.
And it said it. He says it in the thing
I was just
too.
like, right now, what my brain is at? No, don't recall.
Can't. Yeah.
Thank you, Robyn. Yeah.
But he teaches at Tulane. It still doesn't. It to me made it worse about the playing around.
I love it. I honestly,
I love it
because I'm like, as like
An
having like
ugly
an
dumb
academic
shit.
background and then like also being interested in like mystical things, like that just makes sense. Like, yeah, I'm already studying things. I may as well add magic to it. A very cool thing happens as he's talking to Shuri and Bolenly. They see he in the office he mentioned that he has his twin brother is ghost, and he's spectrally aligned to him, so he can pop in and out of his body. And so in this moment we see that specter float off, and that's how, and then like Dr. Drum like explains that is his brother going to answer the door to let in Monica Rambeau. And the way that he speaks about Monica Rambeau is how I want like any person who is in love with some other person to talk about that person. He's like, ooh, Monica Rambeau's at the door. Let me just the way that he's like,
he is extremely
very
sprung,
and he has nothing but good words to say. Like
he's
he
very
can't
sprung.
just talk about this with her without talking her up. Like he can't. There's nothing in his brain that would allow him to not.
Right, and they're not even together.
He wants to get with her.
The thing I love the most about it too is that this is Monica Rambeau, who used to lead the Avengers. So like we know who she is. Like,
right.
You do not need to give us her
resume. He just loves talking about her.
But he's like, look,
he's his favorite
I'm
subject.
going to
he
regardless.
loves psychology,
I'm going to.
magic, and Monica even more. That's where his brain is.
Literally.
Ooh, Monica. Ooh, yeah. And then
Monica's here. And Monica walks in like, why am I here?
But also she came in stunting.
She walks.
Of
I
course.
love it.
Like she was like,
I love it so much.
Killing it.
She said, I'm going to the ex's place.
I don't even think Monica thinks of him as an ex.
Fabric.
I think Monica just thinks of him as like, yeah, that didn't quite work out, did it? But you know, I don't mind hanging out when I need to. Like that's what the vibes are like. Yeah,
we had fun.
So he says, I am editorializing, but he says, whoa, here she comes. And it's
oh my gosh.
I am editorial.
He says, whoa, here she comes. And then he
She did it again.
He points out the garden, and there's a figure coming down the cobblestone path. It's a statuesque woman who walks confidently in their direction with a slight smile on her face. Her dark skin and long, wavy black hair contrast with her slinky, strapless white dress, which seems to sparkle and glimmer all on its own. Shuri sizes up this unknown woman, deciding that she's about T'Challa's age, but with that same self-confident attitude and flair that she so annoyed her about her brother. But on this woman, though, Shuri thinks it fits. And
right, that's the funny thing that like it's such a sibling thing. She's like, I recognize this, but I'm not gonna give it to him.
He's a little bit too confident for my liking. Like, why are you so confident? Let me take you down the peg. Yeah,
he needs to relax.
This
be humble.
Exact trait in someone else is admirable. This exact word for word, bar for bar, love it. In my brother, no, he
gross.
He just can't rock it. Disgusting.
The woman seemed to glide up to Jericho and held her hand out to him. He never took his eyes off her face as he took her hand and kissed it, and then her cheek. Monica, thank you for coming. I know this isn't your type of thing, but your presence is very welcome, Jericho said. Monica shrugs. When an Avenger asks, there's no question. I was in town for the weekend anyway. She offers her hand to Shuri, who looks at her questioningly and then back at Jericho. Monica Rambeau, she says. Her grip was light and firm in Shuri's hand. The sun goddess suddenly whispered, and then immediately clasped her hands over her mouth, embarrassed. It's so cute.
She said, "Oh, I stand." She said, "Oh." She said, "Oh my God,
Beyonce."
My bad."
Can you imagine you're at a
Oh,
party
man.
and you see, hopefully, I don't like that. I don't care about this man. But you see, you're talking to Jay-Z, and then Beyonce walks in and talks to you because you're talking to Jay-Z.
Y'all
He's
are
not.
so mean to Jay-Z.
He deserves it. No.
Like,
I mess with Jay-Z.
come on now.
I
Be
think
honest
it.
with
I think the
yourself,
joke-
Porshea.
I think the jokes are hilarious,
The
but
jokes
I like
are
Jay-Z.
hilarious. But I think I need y'all to be honest with yourself that, like, you're talking to Jay-Z.
I would never.
Right, like
Man,
he's like some
like that man has
C-level
done nothing.
dude.
He has accomplished nothing.
Be married
besides
to
be
Beyonce,
married.
and that is a freaking charity.
She said that is the resume.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
he married Beyonce. Y'all are
The man,
hilarious.
I probably
Okay.
wouldn't feel so crappy
It's
as
fine.
mad about him, except for the fact that he showed up on this lady's stage at Beachella and decided that he was not gonna like actually practice beforehand, so he has like no breath control. And so I'm like, so why would you disrespect this lady's set?
His lungs
He
were full of
disrespected
sand.
this lady's set. She has prepared and choreographed and sat down
my
for this very
gosh.
show.
As someone who was there, by the time the man came out, it was like 11:30.
Beyonce,
You know
okay,
he old.
You know what? I'm not even playing with you. Jay-Z, no. I'm sorry I even brought that man's name up because this is my episode and I don't want him.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And moving
Oh
on.
my
So Monica
gosh.
Rambeau. I'm not gonna
I'm
let
not
you
lying
lie
to
to
myself.
yourself.
Perhaps to you feel a certain way about him. I know exactly how I feel about this man.
Listen, the only thing I feel about Jay-Z is basically he is Jay-Z. I literally, like, whenever it was my brother's birthday, I was like, I don't know what to get you. I'm gonna get you the newest Jay-Z album. You like him, right? I know him. Everybody knows him. Damn, Falk. That's how I feel about Jay-Z, though. Like, he is
in New York.
I grew up on Jay-Z.
He is
so
known.
I live in
he is
Brooklyn, New
accomplished, is all I'm trying
I
to
still
say.
do not care
Yeah.
about that man.
I'm not saying you have
That's
to
so
care about
funny.
him. I'm just saying
He has
Okay.
done things.
he has done things to the point
So
where
has
if you
George
run into
Bush.
him at a party,
So has
you're gonna
George
be
Bush.
you're gonna be a little impressed. If I George Bush at a party, I'd
Yeah,
be
but I'm
impressed too.
not-
I wouldn't be like
And I'm not checking for his
fawning
wife
over him.
or like his girl,
But I'd be
whoever it
impressed.
is. I don't know if I'd be
He
impressed, but
accomplished shit. He accomplished some terrible ass
It's a
shit. But he
strong word.
accomplished
impressed
Yeah.
is kind of a word.
It's not-
Is maybe
mm-mm.
not the word. We need someone who's like, because I think the reason that the Beyonce Jay-Z comparison doesn't quite work is because Shuri
Who
doesn't
Monica
know
is, yeah.
Monica.
Yeah.
Or doesn't know either of them really. Like, this is the first time meeting them. And
Okay,
even
here we go.
Belanle doesn't realize who she is until she hears her name. You know what I mean? So it's not someone who, like, if I was somehow in a conversation with Jay-Z, in the back of my mind, even if I wasn't expecting Beyonce to be there,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that she shows up, and I would
Mhm.
immediately recognize her, as opposed to somebody who's just like, "Oh wait, that's who you
Yeah.
are. I love you." You know what I mean?
I was just saying that
love your work
Belanle
type
was
situation.
responding in the
say
same way
it's
I would respond
more-
to Beyonce. She was like, "The sun goes." Like I would. That's how I
Yes, exactly.
I would say more in the lines of like, Kerry Washington's husband, who I don't know that. I mean, I know that man because I know he exists, but like I don't know that man. And then Kerry Washington walks up because like also I would be like, oh, you know, because I wouldn't be like super starstruck, but I would be very impressed. All of the people who are married to like,
It's also harder now because I mean I don't know. I don't know what this universe is like. Social media rules are, or like what happens there, and especially like in Wakanda. Yeah, but you know, this is a very
it's also funny though, just to get back to like when we were talking about earlier about like Shuri not caring about the Avengers and
right,
like
just like not knowing what they look like.
maybe used to work with or whatever, but like,
right.
yeah, that's like the funniest thing is that like these are people
On
who
her radar.
ostensibly should be on her radar, and
Mhm.
she's just like not at all.
And I love that.
Like,
And
Like,
Yeah.
does not
I love that
recognize you at
Belong
all.
like knows exactly who. Like, as soon as she hears her name, she knows exactly who she. And Sherry's still like,
And I think with Belanle, it's more the fact that like she's seeing her out of context. Like, so she knows who Monica Rambeau is, but she knows her as like Photon
Spectrum.
or like
Mhm.
Right.
The sun goddess. So like if she would have walked up in costume and whatever, she'd have like spied her
Right. She
from a
would have
mile
known
away.
immediately. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's more like seeing like I don't know, like a football player. Because you like I don't know what the men look like without the helmet on, or you know what I mean. Like there's not like the context clues of like that. So I think that's more kind of Belanle thing is just like, oh, they're just like us. They go to parties and wear clothes.
And we're
but it's
Yeah.
I think more funny that Shuri is just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know
Okay.
what my brother does. I've met a couple of his coworkers. And I'm sure like if you asked him what I do, he
be that
couldn't
way.
tell you.
Like at least
But you
like
should
someone asks you,
know.
like, I know
Right.
this. And that's all you got.
I know the
That's all you
company he
have
works
sometimes.
for.
Yeah.
And he does something in like billing. Not really billing, but like he analyzes cost.
I'm sure if he heard you say that, he'd be like, excuse me.
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets.
He'd be doing spreadsheets.
That was his major in college, spreadsheets.
Boom.
That's what he did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know his major in college was sports management. I would have much more preferred him to be, doing that instead of spreadsheets. But spreadsheets
You win,
apparently
you
pay
lose,
better.
Back to Spectrum showing up. I'm gonna read the rest of this little thing. So I love this Black women hyping up other Black women moment. So after Bunale like embarrasses herself real quick, Monica smirks and says, "Only one person has called me that. Wakandan, right?" And Shuri nods. "Princess Shuri of Wakanda, and this is Bonley Zidana of the Dora Milaje. And you are Spectrum, aren't you?" And Monica smiles wistfully and says, "My identity's no secret, princess, but let's not broadcast it, okay? Nuance is my home, and I don't need my house or my parents' houses to become tourist stops." So I feel like Spectrum knows the star power energy right here, and she's like, people are already kind of probably focusing on us. Let's be a little bit quiet about it, just a little bit. Yeah.
And it's like I can be here and people think I'm visiting, but not that I like be here.
If they start asking questions and looking around, following me around, it's gonna be a problem.
But also, I think there again, like out of context, right? Like that was my whole thing with superheroes, especially like Superman and them damn glasses. But I get it.
Did you see what they said about her?
Because
HER her. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah,
she does different things. Like we're Black, so she does different things with her hair and her fits and stuff. People are like, is that? Yeah. That's her. That's the same her. That was her. That was her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now because she's done more stuff without it, like done more like acting stuff, it's easier to tell her. But
still feel
definitely
that way sometimes, though.
Years it was like,
I mean, but even still, but it's like
she also looks like younger, like softer than you would think because of like the shades and the stuff that she wears. And then when she's like, there's nothing on her face, you're like, oh.
But it's also like pretty easy to claw back too, because if you think about like Sia, who her earlier stuff, like her face was all over the place, and then she started putting on that wig.
You just know her because of her
wig.
Like, you'd be like, oh,
so
like,
yeah, right. She's not wearing the wig. She can kind of go back because she was like, I don't really like all that attention. But yeah, so I think like the context is really important, but like the other thing with superheroes, it's my thing about like what I love about Spider-Man so much, even though constantly killing his family, like. They are, but he does a lot to like try to keep them away from his secret, so
He's not Tony Stark. He doesn't have the ability to just like wipe things out of computers at will. So, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, he tries very hard to be like, the suit is Spidey. And then, they may know, but, it never works out. It never works out. But I like that about Monica too. It's just like, hey, but then it also goes back to Shuri. Just, I think the difference between being like a superhero and being a princess, right? Like Shuri doesn't think about that because there is nothing that she could realistically do in Wakanda, which is so isolated and internal. Yeah, that's the right word, I guess. I can't think of another one. There's nothing really that she could do. Like, she can't put on some shades and then just walk around the Golden City. Like, she is known and has been her whole life. And so she doesn't have that sense of, like, being incognito, because, like, really, what's the point? And then when she's overseas and stuff, Wakanda is so internal and isolated that, like, she can just say, she assumes that, like, she could just be like, I'm Shuri, and, like, no one's gonna care and like not recognize her. And that's not the case for like these Avenger level intergalactically famous people.
Yeah. It's fun because Rambeau, like, I didn't realize that, like, she had to, like, I know her costume from when I've seen it occasionally on things. I didn't realize that she had like her face covered in a way where people just wouldn't know who she was outside of her costume like that. But it's funny because they, after she asks to keep everything kind of quiet, Bowmanley gets her courage up and is like, Miss Rambeau, I hate to ask, you were the first woman of color to lead the Avengers, and your light and energy powers make you one of the most powerful beings on the planet. Then she waves at the shining dress that Monica is wearing and says, I know I should ask you something deep or profound, but I have to know. And this is just so real for me as a fashion girly, as someone who's like, if you put me in the same room with someone who like has like a million different accolades, I probably love them for a lot of different things, but they're just wearing something amazing. The first thing that's going to just come out of my brain is like, is this the dress or is it you? Because she knows Monica's abilities.
Right.
And as Monica walks, her white dress gets brighter and brighter, and then with a small burst, it changes color to a sparkly warm gold. And so, like, it's like, this is not like just your everyday regular dress. This is not even a dress that you would see, like, it sounds like a dress you'd see at the Met Gala, but there would be something powering it, you know? This is like, it sounds like a physical manifestation of Monica's powers in like fashion form, like really cool. And Monica laughs and is like, it's a little from column A and a little from column B. Reed Richards gave me some of their unstable molecule form fabric that Sue wasn't going to use, which Sue Storm and her invisibility or whatever, name drops all over the place, but Sue Storm and her invisibility means like this fabric is probably especially made to like kind of work with her invisibility. And the fact that it's like left over, and Sue suggested that a wonderful designer in Manhattan to whip this up for me, and this is her first time wearing it and see its effect with her powers. And so it's just like, I love all of this, like couture fabric made for an invisible woman, now remodified for a woman who has light gaining abilities, and she uses it to interpret the light through different variants of like white to gold. It sounds
It sounds tight.
It's really
like
funny too, because I don't know Monica Rambeau as Spectrum. I know that that's like a thing, but I know of her as Captain Marvel, and then she is currently Photon. And so when I was reading this, I was like, oh, are her powers different? It's still basically the kind of same powers, but I believe, but like what I think of with like invisibleness is like using kind of like light to trick, because that's how we see things, shadow and whatever. I was thinking more in like the MCU verse of like she's just shooting light out, but it seems like in this, like her whole being is like she can control. I don't know how much she can control it or whatever, but like her whole being is just like she's like this light.
So so Jericho adds that he appreciates that he adds softly. This is how, again, this man is very gentle about his relationship with Monica. I appreciate you coming, Monica. I know you feel like you don't belong in the world of magic, but I have a feeling that you're just what we will need tonight.
This man is
sprung.
I love it so much.
Entirely.
But
he's trying to be cool. He's trying to be cool about it because she's not taking him that
he's like,
seriously.
I'm down to just be that guy
like,
you see
chill,
when you're in
but
town.
he's
It's
really
fine.
not.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we
whatever, you know. But also, he has put together a situation in which her talents are uniquely useful.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what excites her. He knows what gets her heart.
So it's not like he was just trying to like. Yeah.
Not that there's probably some other talented person, or the man is a master of mystic arts. He could probably have found another way. But
why would he?
Why?
You could have Monica Rambeau at your house looking luminous and stay in the night possibly.
Said I'm sure she's gonna be here anyway. She has to come home sometime to visit her family.
Mm-hmm.
I can make things happen,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna finish up here because I do want us to get forward, but I just wanted to get to like this, and then Bonale and Shuri look at each other, which again, we love tea. We love a good tea drop, and we're gonna clock in with each other like, girl, you catching this? Yes. Ooh, what's up with that? And so Monica catches that and shakes her head and says, we used to date, as she takes Jericho's arm, but we decided it would never work with us being from two different worlds. We decided
that. Jericho was like, look,
I don't remember being given the choice.
I'm still waiting on you.
Said, give me a reason. Okay.
He said that to me didn't really sound all that like, but you.
I know what I was told.
You gotta do.
I know what I was told.
I'm gonna just make it clear.
I
say the word.
Having any input on this decision. I would actually, if I did, could we return to this decision? Because I don't.
Exactly.
I am the master of the mystical arts. I could figure out a way to get to your world and stay. Okay. We don't have to stay in two different worlds.
Not Jericho singing part of your world to Monica in his head. Okay. And Monica puts a finger on his mouth to silence him and says, not tonight, okay? Can't we just enjoy ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing.
And again, I'm sure he said,
"Oh, so
he is being played like a fiddle." And I love that
so
for her.
much. Black love. And then he smiles and he says, "A little business first, and then a little fun," and then they walk into the party. And so they kind of like, the party's going. They're walking. Everybody's walking around. And Elijah comes up. And they're talking to Jericho about it, and Jericho explains that Elijah he explains his story saying it kind of like in a fairy tale kind of way, where it's like there was a man, a street musician in New Orleans who was charmed by a visiting princess. She gave him the taste of a life much richer than he deserved. But almost immediately, the woman left him behind in the same streets where she found him. And that man couldn't stand the idea of going back to where he started. So he began to charm women, including a witch, from whom he learned some minor but real magic. And before he became a magical threat, he was attacked, killed, and resurrected by one of New Orleans' resident vampires. And that man is Elijah.
Jinkies. Yikes.
And
why so creepy.
Yes. I wish Blade was whole big old gang. It would be the Black.
I was definitely like,
I was waiting for him.
No, I was really like, oh, so y'all bringing up vampires now. So what, Blade is in the cut? Like, what's going on?
Right.
And also I did appreciate though, because it did remind me that like the MCU has literally everything. The Marvel universe has everything. Like, because I forget that the vampires exist in this world, and that, like,
zombies. So. I was like, that was the thing. I remembered vampires because I was at trivia, and Mahershala Ali.
I thought you
was
were
an
going to say
answer to a
you were at
question,
trivia and
but
Mahershala Ali walked in and
my-
you were like, oh.
Was there.
Oh no. We would have been way back to the earlier part of the story with the Idris and the hunt, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, no. So I don't know, like when I got to this story, that was just like, I was like, Blade's coming, right? I didn't know they had zombies now.
Sounds like you're not going to
Child.
Marvel New Orleans. You're like,
No,
nah,
thanks.
I'm good.
I
was
extremely
expecting
good.
the vampire.
I'm so good.
I was very much expecting vampires in the New Orleans Marvel story. The zombies,
I would be there
though.
because I, again, would love to show up at the mansion and just be another a sorceress of just be hanging out and doing magical mysteries all day. This is why the story is the story I had to choose, because I'm like, it has, what am I a big fan of? Magic. And it has it in buttloads and oodles and boodles all over. All over the place.
Yeah, this is why, just like in real life, in the Marvel world, I am sat in California.
Like, I got nothing
I
to do
just
with
don't. we ain't
As far
got
as you
none
know.
of that going on.
As far as
West of the
you know.
Mississippi seems great.
Seems safer.
As far as I know.
But
Seems
Ant-Man and them
safer.
weren't.
It doesn't. He doesn't.
Anyway, Blade doesn't
what does
show up.
Is I don't know. It's like there's a Dr. Drum gets a whole list. He's like, this is the one city in the United States where vampires, demons, witches, ghouls, werewolves, zombies, and all sorts of creatures. And it's like, bro, that's interesting.
This is not a fun. T'Challa should have put that in my itinerary just so I could be aware.
I'm saying
about these things.
Like, you gotta let me know where I'm going.
Now I don't remember him on the Marvel Demons, and tell me about it.
We Black,
but so now that he's told everyone this, like now Shuri has a moment where because she's wearing a necklace, she sees when she once saw a man wearing a tuxedo, she now sees a flame-haired creature sampling the gumbo. And then Jericho very nicely just is like, oh yeah, demon. Like, okay, so now I'm just gonna walk around seeing things that I wasn't seeing.
Now I'm just seeing demons eating
and
gumbo.
You're chill about it. Because your house, you invited this demon.
Yeah.
Who invites demons into their house?
It's your house.
Perhaps
Dr. Voodoo, apparently.
Perhaps yeah.
Amari Peters. I was really like, you know what?
Brie Matthews.
Maybe they're not so bad.
Perhaps I am discriminatory. Maybe I'm the problem. You know, like maybe he's a very nice demon. Maybe this demon is the one who cooked the gumbo. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a problem here. But yeah. So, saying all that, knowing all who I was in the building, of course the fight's gonna break out, because of course what has been the big machination of this night is Dr. Drum needing Shuri to be there with the necklace, not only for the magical mystery for him to unravel about why it is like taking in magical energy, but also because he knows how dangerous Elijah is and how he is like basically kind of like unstoppable in like his like schemes and like all the mischief and crap that he's trying to bring into the like his orbit. And he sees it as like Elijah is stuck in trying to get revenge for his like what happened to him, but it's like you pulled that into you, that's all on your doing. And so Jericho's like, I have to take this man out. I'm setting it up where I can get this man out of here. All I need is these key components: the necklace from Wakanda to draw him in, someone who can guard that necklace. So then of course that's the princess in her Dora Milaje, and then Spectrum to like help out with the vampire horde that comes in with Elijah. You know, perfectly executed plan, no notes. It's gonna be great.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like Beyonce, like I got notes, but should I keep writing them? I got some notes, but until I see them applied,
yeah, I have not.
So this is where, to take it all the way back to the beginning of the story, in which I was like, I mean, Shuri's mad at T'Challa, but is it justified? I don't know. This is where there's like justified. Don't send me to New Orleans to teach me a lesson about whatever and use me as a or pawn, charade, whatever this is.
Without me knowing.
For a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And
no.
Speaking of Shuri not knowing. So what came up in conversation before the fight started out was that Shuri explained how she doesn't necessarily have a belief in magic or a belief in like or faith built up specifically around Bast. And so Dr. Drum explains that that's part of the reason why she needed to be the one who brought the necklace, because of her lack of faith in those things, then she can't be influenced by the magical elements and things that are happening. And so when things are popping off, of course, Shuri is like a target. So while everyone is distracted with the vampire horde and Bunley is like leaping toward and breaking more fingers on vampires and then slashing them with vibranium daggers, like Shuri gets like right in the path of Elijah and is she fights him, right? Like she's ready to fight, but he keeps trying to get that necklace off of her. And he taunts her with faith-based weapons only work if someone believes Princess whenever she kind of like tries to use the necklace to her favor. And he knocks her dagger from her hand. It scatters on the floor. She can't help but glancing at the dagger. And when he pounces on her, knocking her to the ground, he puts his hands right on her neck. She can't breathe. She's panicking, and the necklace is right under his hands, and she can feel Bast's icon cruelly digging into her throat and her sight is beginning to dim from lack of oxygen. And Elijah keeps taunting her, saying that you lost your greatest weapon when the glowing witch left, because Monica's outside dealing with the rest of the vampire horde. She can't generate enough energy to kill us, not while keeping you alive at the same time. And your friends are too busy to save you. And he keeps saying, all alone, no powers, no faith, nothing but death, resurrection, and obedience to me for the rest of eternity, Princess. I would feel sorry for you if that emotion still existed.
I love villain explains that
I'm
like
going to kill you and bring you back as a zombie that is going to have to like obey me.
But also like I just love when villains
taunt.
Well, when they're villain-splaining, taunts turn into pep talks.
Now I was like I was feeling a little depressed for a second. I
was giving up, but now
I feel the rub on my back. I feel the rub on my back. I know I'm
all this.
I know I'm about to be out. But now you're giving me like spite.
Yeah.
Well, that's my thing is, right, it's like you keep saying like you don't have the faith. And she's sitting there and she's like, okay, well, a vampire is choking me out and taunting me with the threat of bringing me back to life as a zombie that is going to have to serve him for eternity. Like, what is Beth to?
I can find faith real quick if I need to.
You know what I mean? Like
okay, so right? That's the thing. It's like not only did he kind of give her a pep talk, he told her the answer to the test. Like this, test. Yeah. I can pass this with flying colors. I got you. Faith. I just need to have faith right now. Okay.
And I think too that there's something uniquely, like I don't know if it's Black. I feel like it's just Black. Period. Across diaspora. Of like when you grow up around faith traditions, like no matter like how much or how little it resonates with you, like some of it resonates with you because those things are so intertwined. Not just like, I don't know, I feel like with like certain communities, it's like, oh, either you go to church or you don't go to church, and like that stays at church, right? Like maybe, you pray at home, like before bed or whatever, but it's not like kind of intertwined and everything. Like, I do not go to church regularly, but I will bump some BB and CC Winans just because the mood struck, you know? And like that is like a cultural, like there's like a cultural part of faith too that is like, it's like embedded in you, even if you are like, I'm agnostic or I am atheist or whatever. It's like, if I believe enough in like my family, there's some belief in God there, right? Like if I believe in my mom is a church lady, okay? She be going on Wednesdays. She be stopping by, you know what I mean? Like it is not a thing to like hear that my mom went to church 4 to 5 days out of the week, right? So it's like, there is some level that just kind of seeps in anyway that I think you can tap into. That maybe like this dude, also he's been a vampire for Lord knows how long. So like he's also like just like removed from humanity in that kind of way as well. But I liked how, because it felt like a little bit when I was reading it, a little like too on the nose, like, oh, she's struggling with like how she believes in baths or whatever, but then with the throat around her neck wrapped up in a bow of like, oh, I've tapped into my faith. But then when you think about it through that like cultural kind of lens of like, it's very difficult to not have some level of belief, depending, it doesn't matter like how strong. And I do also like that, like, I don't think Shuri is like, I'm about to go join the priestesses now, right? But there is like, she just feels like that connection. And a lot of that is just from what she grew up surrounded by. Whether or not she's
in her mind, or not. She thinks about the things that her brother could do, and the wounds that Boneley was causing with her blessed knives. So she's like thinking about the people who she is close to who have faith and how that serves them. And she sees how it works whenever they have faith in the thing. So she's like able to tap into that. Like, I see how it works for when the people around me have faith. And so instead of getting choked out, her necklace suddenly starts emitting heat, and it makes Elijah squirm and then scream. And he jerks back quickly, letting her go. She ends up rubbing her neck and coughing to get some air back inside her lungs, while he has burnt hands and a smoked Black Panther head etched into them. And Shuri sits up saying, "It seems my faith is a little stronger than either of us thought, vampire." And then when he leaps at her, she hears Dr. Voodoo throw his pointed staff at her, which she catches and then whirls around and then stabs through Elijah's chest. So she needed faith to get him back off of her.
Period.
But she needed to just be ready to stake a vampire to get him all the way out of here. And it's so funny because like he thinks he knows her. He only met her last night. And he says, you don't have the guts to end me, princess. And the homegirl just goes bloop.
Yeah, because how do you know?
Well,
you don't know anything about me. Who said that?
Who said that?
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that he was like, you don't have the guts. Who are you talking to? Not me. Surely not. Can't be me.
Nobody told you that. What kind of information are you?
Right.
You got faulty info.
Right. I like to believe that I don't have it in me to murder someone, but that's not murder. That's self-defense. You just had your hand around my neck. Also,
you're white.
You're a vampire, dude.
Fully standing up in your colonizer kind of behavior, man. Telling me you about to make me your slave for the rest of eternity.
Leading into that southern accent.
I wasn't gonna kill you. My ancestors were gonna make sure that you were dead. Like either way, it was gonna. My hands were gonna get you out of here. It was gonna happen. I honestly, I get ancestors, you best be glad all boss wanted to do was burn your hands real quick with a little emblem, because you probably could already been dead. You probably this probably would have taken you out. This is the last blow, actually. I'm just putting you out of your misery. Have a nice day. Or don't in hell. Do whatever you want to do. I'm cool.
Or don't.
Or don't.
And that's where we end. Like, things wrap up. Party's done. Looks like Monica's staying late. FYI.
Mm-hmm.
I did love that they were like, oh, so now it's time to party. And Brother Voodoo Drum looked around his house and was like,
but
you don't got to go home.
Right.
Except for you,
But
Monica.
this
Don't go
party
anywhere,
is-
please.
It's over.
Please.
Right.
You
We
can
got
stay.
Ash.
Right.
But it's also funny because he's the professor, as you mentioned
Monica,
earlier.
please
So
stay.
whenever they go out, because like Shuri and Bolinley had made like after party plans with Rick and Jay. So when they go out in the street to go catch up with them, Dr. Drum escorts them out, and he sees the brothers, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Because they took classes with this man. And so it's so funny. It's like, you couldn't come to this party even though homeboy, whatever. It's like he probably didn't invite them because it's like, I already got vampires on the menu. I don't need them to be like in the mix, you know?
Yeah.
But it's very funny.
Yeah.
No.
I'm also not trying to party
No.
with my professors, but
No.
I did at this point when I was like, no, they're bad guys.
You're like, here
It's not
comes the
over.
second onslaught. Here it is.
Literally.
Here's the twist. And then it was
Maybe-
like,
Mhm.
what up, Pete?
You're like, oh, I can
And I was
trust
like, oh,
some
okay.
men or bear. These are fine.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Right.
Possibly fine. They're not, they're not demons
not
as far as we know,
vampires. We know
because
that
Shuri
now.
would have the ability to see if they were demons or not, Exactly, which is
I mean, they
not
are
far
men,
from
so.
demon. So they go to an after party. The four of them go to an after party where Shuri will only finally confess who they actually are. And Rick and Jay are like, bro, been clocked. As soon as we met you at the bar, when we went and had our side conversation.
Right.
Shuri didn't even confess.
Right.
Jay was like, oh, I could go to Wakanda.
And Shuri was like, excuse me, what?
Hang
And
out
she's
with
like,
the
oh, crap.
princess.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you know who I am. But at the same time, Shuri was not the one who decided to have the backstory. Like, it was Bolinley. But, like, it's funny because it's like, I don't know why Bolinley would think that Black Americans wouldn't clock a Black princess. Like, that wouldn't just be on their radar.
Right.
But that's what I was saying about
Yeah.
like how they're very insular, right? Because they don't
Mhm.
think about like the minute in which King T'Challa said, "Oh, Wakanda's not just a land of farmers.
Black royalty.
We got
and a lot of
you know.
resources. Buku people around the
Mhm.
globe working for us.
Yeah, we got bucks."
Yeah.
The minute he stepped out there with that, I'm taking it back to the MCU, but with that scarf that said, "I got Beyonce money," it was a wrap. And so I do like when they're like, y'all are a big deal.
Maybe the
at least
white
to
folk.
us. Like maybe if you had ran into some white folk, okay. If you were in,
a stupid society party by some white
parish,
folk. Yeah.
right
Over here?
Sure.
The Black Princess? Are you serious? The Black
Immediately.
Princess.
Clocked it.
Yeah.
So I just love that because it's very real. I feel like it's very true to like if we found out there was a Black Princess this whole time, everybody'd be like, oh, we all know who the Black Princess is. What are you talking about?
I mean,
royalty.
Again, I don't give a crap about
Yeah.
them Brits, but I know Meghan Markle.
Whatever
Be
she
on
do.
her side. I don't know what she might have done or what they said. She
against
was
the Brits.
right and y'all
like,
were wrong.
oh, she's fighting with the Brits got beef with her, and
Right?
who cares?
She was right and y'all were wrong. I don't need to know the details.
Did she cause Prince Charles's cancer? I don't care. If she did, actually, I would congratulate her because girl, that's some magic I didn't know you had. That's a clutch.
Right? And she not even like she even says, she was like, I didn't even know I was Black like that until I got over there. I was like, I didn't know you were Black like that till you got over there either. But now
we're all just doing what we got. I feel like we're Kendrick, like talking to Adonis and Meet the Grams. We're like, you're a Black man. Stand up for yourself.
You're a Black man.
They're at the after party, and it's funny. The reason why they're able to drop this drop the guys and all that as well is that when they show up at the party, Shuri's looking around like, what's going on? And like Jay is like, be rest assured, like this is when he drops like a princess, like no one here is gonna have their cameras out. There's gonna be no photos. Like we don't play like that around here. We're very protective of basically our Black princess. So don't even be worried about that. And so because of that,
I also like though that he was also like it's Mardi Gras.
Ain't nobody trying to be
I'm in school. Ain't none of us trying to have to explain.
Right. Nobody's trying to be out here.
Nobody's trying to be out here caught up, having to, question what they did at Mardi Gras.
Like, no
to a
one
future
here
employer.
is that type of person. Rest, like, we know who we invited. And and I'm telling you who that is. Unlike Brother Voodoo, who did not tell you who, like, what was going down. I'm telling you right now what's not going to go down. Okay, we're good. And so because they get to like have that, like, these privacy and like a sequestered moment, they end up having a little romantic kiss and all of that. And Shuri still has that moment on her mind when they fly home, when Bonley and she fly home. But she's also thinking about the fact that, like, T'Challa knew that her taking on this mission would be a moment of, like, change for her, if not growth. And how that especially was related to her faith in Bast, but also herself, and how she could learn more about herself and, like, being and learning and stuff. But also she's come to appreciate the dynamic that she's built with Bonley. And they're just like, she's kind of in a gratitude kind of moment, kind of like taking it all in and measuring it all kind of moment. But we end the story because I don't remember if I mentioned this at the beginning of the story, but when they took off on the flight, yeah, I did. Bonley gave her her favorite coffee, and she was like, that was her peace offering for them to kind of like get into like a friendship stage. That coffee had trackers in it. And those trackers were there because Queen Ramonda wanted them in there. And so Bonley is like, hey, so you probably want to drink a lot of water to flush those out. I did disable the trackers while we was doing our stuff. But now that you're back in Wakanda, I don't know what your mama got planned for you, but you do want to flush them out of your body. And Shuri's like, girl. And that's where we end the story. She really...
Mama wildin'.
She really...
I love that though, because it's like, listen, once we had our moment and we like, we were on the same page and I felt secure we were on the same page, I turned them off. But
no, mama though.
And also, right. It's but not also, really like, up to her to not give them to her. Like,
yeah.
And she knew what to do to counter them too.
But it was also though, like, to me, it was like an insurance policy. When she gave it to her, they were not cool.
Right.
So I'm trust but verify. Like, you have a history of sneaking out on people. And now I'm giving you the heads up, because while I didn't need the trackers, I don't know what your mama gonna do.
Right.
And if the queen asks for the passwords or whatever to the trackers and for them to be turned on,
if it's flushed out of your body, then I can't say nothing, can I?
I'm gonna feel bad about it.
I can't do anything about that.
I can't say, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna feel bad about it, and I might try to tell you that she told me to turn them on, but I'm gonna turn them on. I ain't gonna tell her no.
Yeah.
Shout out
this whole story. Shout out to Monica. Listen. Shout out to Dr. Drum. Shout out to his brother, the Ghost Brother.
Black women.
I mean,
not Dr. Drum.
Magic. I just love magic.
And not T'Challa. I get it, but don't use me as a pawn. And not tell me.
That's fair.
I hate when they're always like, "Well, we needed you." I just read a bonkers Kindle Unlimited romance, and it was one of those where all of a sudden the spotlight's on this girl, and he was like, "Well, I couldn't tell you because I wanted you to be like genuinely surprised."
You gotta know the person.
You're like even no.
If you don't trust me to be a good actress,
and I feel like
I don't need to be involved.
Know the person, and you gotta know. You gotta know if the reason why you're doing the surprise is gonna be okay for that, because like the surprise does it fit that personality.
But you also have to know, like, you have to think about all of the consequences of them not knowing, right? Like, if Shuri could have handled, if Shuri had the power of the Black Panther, then sure, she don't got to know, because she can handle herself. Like, up against anybody, I'm a bet that she's not gonna lose. But when the vampire had his hands around her neck, and it was just up to her faith.
Well, that's
No.
on the lack of
No.
oversight
Don't use me as a
T'Challa
pawn.
and I'll protect your drum. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't give. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. You can't. I said Doctor, and then T'Challa.
But it's
They
but
don't get any shout
I
out.
will shout him out for the magic
benched.
of his house, like
They're
how that all
benched.
works. Like that's what I'm shouting him out for. Like I
Okay.
like how that works. That's what
I'll
I'm saying.
even the Ghost Brother can get a
David,
shout
Ghost
out.
Brother.
But the Doc,
Oh
no.
my gosh.
So explanation. I gave my explanation throughout the reading of like why I chose the story, but also just to sum it up a little bit. I
Mhm.
like this is a concise journey with great callbacks. That coffee thing did not have to come back. It did, and I like when stories pay off that way. Like
Mhm.
you can have throw off things that you may not be paying attention to in the moment, but then you cut up later and you're like, oh shoot, she did give you a coffee like 30 pages ago. So love that. I feel like I really enjoy character focused writing. Like in this story, I could really feel like why Shuri was irked at T'Challa, why she was moving the way she was moving, how that influenced her next steps, but also like the fun moments where it's like we're not in Monica Rambeau's head, but the interaction between her and Dr. Drum, you're like, oh, I get what this relationship is right now. I see what's happening here. So I love when the writing is playing towards that. This is an addition, like with Bayana was talking about in Shadow Dreams, and throughout the story we get different throughout the compilation of the anthology itself, we get different stories that speak to this. This is another story that builds on vibranium lore. Like I did not know vibranium could have
Mhm.
different elements where it can like it draws in energy of different types. It can be regular type energy, like kinetic energy that we see in the movies, but it could also be magic, apparently. So that's really cool. Um, and then the Black Marvel magic crew of it all, like we could have stopped, like Blake could have popped in any moment. We got Monica, we got Dr. Drum doing all his stuff, and then we got to hear about like other magical beings that he collaborates with. Like it was a lot of magic, and also like Monica's dress itself was a magical moment, and the whole Black woman being star-hearted and star-eyed and heart-eyed towards the other Black women, like just like it was great, amazing. Um, and the open-ended ending of it all, like it could easily be extended. We could easily see the rest of the mystery. Like what could Dr. Drum do next? What is Shuri gonna do next? What is Monica gonna do next? What happened that night after the party? Like all these really cool things could have happened, and I like that. But the only thing I will concede about the story in general was that I didn't really care about the brothers too much. Like to me, it was nice
Yeah.
that like Shuri had a
Yeah.
moment where she wasn't booed up with the guy she was with in Ibiza, so she found like she had like something else to keep her entertained in that way. But I don't know that it was necessary. But I didn't hate it. It didn't bring anything to the table that I wouldn't have been okay without.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. I think the story still would have been what it was. I
It would
mean,
have held up without them. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it lends itself more to the like Shuri's gonna enjoy herself no matter where she goes type of thing. But yeah, I like to think about this. It was something I was thinking about reading all of these stories of like, could I see this in the MCU? Could I see this on Disney Plus as like a series, right? And I was like, I could see this like cast of characters in like a Miss Marvel type of series where it's a little bit more fun and like romper, like caper type of thing. I could see it in a UPN girlfriends like type of vibe, and I could also see it in like a serious, more like Alias or like
Stealth
Winter
spy, yeah.
Soldiery type of like espionage type of spy vibe type of thing. And so I liked that part of the story, that it had like a little bit of everything, and it, like you said, like the fantasy and all of that stuff as well. Yeah. And you can't go wrong with New Orleans as a backdrop and Mardi Gras backdrop.
Whenever they said Homeboy had a historical mansion, I was like, in New Orleans? a Black person with a historical mansion in New Orleans, and he's magical. I was like, oh yeah, nah, I gotta see this.
Started thinking about the real world New Orleans and what's his name? Come on, be my baby tonight. I seen the way you treated other guys, other thugs you've been with. Come on, be
Not
my
that
baby
this is
tonight.
like Quiet as a Cat. I think that was my favorite season of Real. It was a great season.
It was the best season. It was a great season. All right.
On that note, thank you for listening. Next week we'll be discussing Robyn's pick, Heart of a Panther. Join us for our live recordings on Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific time, or wait until the episode drops on Wednesday.
Wizard Team is a part of the Black Nerds Crate Collective. If you want to keep up with our content, you can check us out on our website at blacknerdscrate.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Wizard Team Pod, or on Instagram, Tumblr, and TikTok at Black Nerds Crate.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Should I end that with "Come on, be my baby tonight"?